Right, well today we're going to be doing a repaint on one of the character options 10-inch 13th Doctor figures, as played by Jodie Whittaker. It looks like it's quite a nice sculpt, but it's a little bit bland and the hair is quite sort of heavy-handedly applied. So we're going to do a repaint on this, but the first thing we need to do is get the head off. So I'm going to investigate that. I'll get the clothes off the figure, investigate how the head stays on, because I would like to take the head off to repaint it. We could do it with it on, we might have to because it feels quite stiff on there. I'm going to heat it up, see what happens. So we'll come back when the figure's ready to be painted. Right, so you have to be very careful. So this plastic doesn't heat up particularly well in water, and the neck pivot, it's like a figure 8 ball joint, is very delicate, so it's snapped. So all I've done is drilled it out both sides, put a bit of Lego tubing in there just so as that can go back on and that'll work as it did. But yeah, be careful, you can't unscrew this, it's like heat sealed. Nicely jointed body, everywhere else is screws except on that bit. So first thing I'm going to do is try and match the flesh colour as closely as I can. I think it's a little bit pale, but she's a very pale person. Just so that if it does, because the trouble with joints is when you paint them, when it moves, it scrapes the paint off on the joint part. So if I can get it matching quite closely, it will give me a good basis so that if it does scrape off, it doesn't really matter. So the first thing I'm going to do is mix some paint. And for that, I'm just going to use my standard Cadian flesh tones, lightened up with some pale flesh, which is here somewhere. Yeah, so it's over here. So with some pale flesh, light flesh, I'm going to mix that to get a shade. So once I've mixed a shade, we'll come back and I'll put some more on. Okay, so I've mixed up some flesh tone and it's pretty close. It's a little bit darker, but I do think it's a little bit pale. So all we're going to do is a couple of really good coats. Also going to paint the hands. I think the cat's been up on the bench, there's hairs everywhere. So there we go, so we'll let that dry and we'll give it another coat. In the meantime, we're going to have a look at the detail on the boots, which is actually pretty good. So all I'm going to do on this is a little bit of white dry brushing just to bring out some of the detail. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is let this dry, put a few more coats on, just so we've got a good base. Lots of thin coats rather than one thick coat, and we'll come back and do some shading. Whilst we're waiting for the face to dry, I'm just going to add a bit of detail to the tiny little sonic screwdriver that you get. It's just in a plain silver. So we're going to add some orange detail and then some darker washes just to make it look a bit less like just a plastic toy. Let that dry. Let's go back to the head. So that's nicely dry. So all we're going to do now is use flesh wash I use Repainting Flesh Shade, can't talk today, and then we're just going to run that into some of the detailing on the face. And again, because it's a quite a nice smooth face, doesn't need that much. There we go, so we're going to let that dry, and in the meantime do the same with the hands. There we go, so we'll let that all dry and then come back and blend it in. Okay, so the shading is dry, so all we're going to do is use a slightly lighter flesh colour, slightly lighter, just to blend this in. And it's almost a dry brush, not quite a dry brush. See, it's starting to blend in, just very light, brushing over it, and it just leaves the slightly darker shade showing through. That's not too bad. So what I'm going to do now is use an even lighter shade, so mix a little bit of white in with the flesh shade, and then we're just doing the highlights, top ridge of the nose, forehead, cheeks, chin, just to bring that out a little bit. I forgot to, just lightly coating the neck area. There we go. And I'm going to use just a tiny bit of pure white, dry brushed, and really light this. That's just on like the tip of the nose. So next, while I've got the white out, I'm going to paint the eyeballs in. I find it a bit difficult to paint at the moment because, let's see if I can move the phone. So at the moment, I've got a cat on my lap. You right? It's because it's cold. She wants a bit of a cuddle. So I've got a nice fine brush. See? I'm just going to use pure white to start with, but we will dull it down with some tiny bit of flesh wash once it's painted. There we go. Now I'm going to mix some red to make a lip colour, because she does wear lipstick. You can see on the tutorial, it's almost a bright pink. I'm going to use a bit of the German orange. I think that's not far off the colour. You don't want to over-apply it because you don't want it to look like Mrs. Doyle from Father Ted. Well, perhaps you do. It's up to you. Right, so the eyes I'm going to do another coat of. And I'm going to very lightly dry brush some red, just very lightly onto the cheeks. Looks a bit like if you watch Babylon 5. Is it Talia Winters, the Psychor lady? Okay, there. There you go. Just popping the cat down, so I want to do the eyes carefully. So her eyes are sort of a you can see it there properly, sort of a light greeny, almost a browny green. So I'm going to use a bit of Dustcard green. There we go. Just got to get the eyes the right size, otherwise it looks a bit weird. So we'll let that dry and we'll come back and put some deep. Okay, the eyes are dry, so we're going to use the lighter green. And then all I'm going to do is use the flesh shade just to put some definition back into the mouth. Paint her eyebrows in, and they're quite a dark brown, so I'm going to use Rhinox Hide. Not sure if that one's not a little bit too high. Don't know, might adjust it. Going to use a line just above the eye. And I need a small amount of black for the pupil. No eyeshadow or anything. So I'm just going to use the flesh wash again just to bring out the top of the eye there. Okay, I think we can probably move on to the hair now. And then for the hair, I'm just going to use a light tan colour, which I did have some. There we go. So I'm going to lighten up some Upland Sunset with a bit of white, and we're going to use that for the hair colour. So I'm going to mix that, then we'll come back for that one. Okay, so we're just going to paint the hair. You know, it's slightly darker than the actual one they've used because I'm going to be lightening it up with a lot of white, lighter yellow dry brushing. There we go, let that dry. And then in the meantime, I'm going to add some black wash to the sonic. Right, we'll come back once the hair's dry and we can add some shade to it. Okay, so the hair's dry, so we're just going to run some flesh wash into it. It might need several goes on the flesh wash, several layers drying in between, because we want to build up quite a dark root system. Okay, let that dry, and we do a bit of dry brushing in a lighter yellow, if not white. Okay, so we're going to start off with a lighter yellow and then work down to a white. And then just a bit of silver on the earring. And I'm going to use Repainting steel for that. There we go, so I'm going to let that dry. Probably put a bit of matte varnish on the face, a bit of gloss varnish on the lips, and then we'll put it back together, clothe the doll, and we'll see what she looks like. Okay, so I've put the figure back together and dressed her, and I think it looks pretty good. It's quite a nice likeness of Jodie Whittaker. I think it certainly looks better than the plastic skin version. I'm quite happy with it. The hands came out quite well. Yeah, in fact you can tell the difference between a plastic skin. I might have to just paint the edges of the arms. And the Sonic looks good. And the boots look better. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with that one. Well, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to see some more. Let me know what you think of the paint job on this one in the comments. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks then. Bye.